Welcome back, mathematicians. Today I have a quick set of notes for you, and the title today is Equivalent Fractions and Multipliers. So that's the buzzword today, is multiplier. So take a moment and put this into your table of contents. We've got our date, our title, Equivalent Fractions and Multipliers, and we are on 3 left and 3 right. Right. If you need to pause longer, you can always do that. I'm going to flip over to my 3L, and I've got my notes prepped. Let's take a look. So, let's see. Let's zoom in on that title. Equivalent fractions and multipliers. Let's make sure we have our date in 8, 18, 20. And today our objective. I will examine and understand the role of a multiplier in equivalent fractions. And there are some buzzwords in there that we'll examine in a moment. I'd like you to read it with me one more time. I will examine and understand the role of a multiplier in equivalent fractions. All right. The action words we need to examine. That means we are going to look closely at some fractions that are equivalent. When we talk about understanding, it's really that idea that we're thinking really hard, and we get that epiphany where we know how it works. All right? So we want to examine and understand. We're talking about the word role. We're talking about a job. What is the job of this buzzword here? Say it with me, multiplier. Multiplier. So our vocab term today that we're going to be looking at is multiplier. And when I'm talking about a multiplier, it is a number that is multiplied by both numerator and denominator to make, it's a long one, equivalent fractions. And this is I didn't even have it on the screen. Let me scroll down. One more time. Multiplier, a number, one single number that is multiplied by both numerator and denominator to make equivalent fractions. So let's come up with a very simple fraction. Let's use 1/2. And we are going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by a single number. And let's pick 3. We'll make 3 our multiplier. Draw an arrow to it. Our multiplier is 3. And we will end up with 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So what we can do is we can pull them down. We can say 1/2 is equal to 3/6. Now we can do what we had done earlier in the day. If we've got those, or earlier yesterday, if we have those fraction strips, we use a Post-it strip. Got a Post-it strip here. Let me represent 1/2. There is that website we used yesterday where we could easily do this with technology. So I've got my 1/2, and I've got 1/2. Let's see, now I need a denominator of 6, so I need 6 pieces. So I'm going to trace down the half. I only have 2 pieces, so I need 3 and 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So now I have 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, and 1/6. So I can move them closer, and if I'm shading in just 1/2, I want to see how many sixths are equivalent, and it looks like it's going to be 3. So this is us looking at pretty much what we did yesterday, but now we're including this thing called the multiplier. It's just a single number that we can add in there. So let's practice a little bit on the next page. For those of you that need another peek at my notes for this page, here's what it looks like. All right. Let's move on to the next. Let's pick a larger fraction. Let's say 5/7. And let's go with a multiplier of, let's use a big number. Let's go with 10. This one's super easy. 5 times 10 is 5 times 1 with a 0 is 50. 7 times 1 with a 0 is 70. So we can bring it down. We'd say 5/7 is equal to 50/70. That's a much bigger fraction. So when we multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number, we are making those equivalent fractions. So 7 has fewer pieces, 70 has lots of little pieces, but 5/7 is the same as 50/70. Excellent. All right. And now it is time for a trick. And this isn't really a trick. It's something that I'm going to show you as an observation. Now I have, and this will help you examine and understand. And let's see. Let me get a piece of blue tape in there so I don't lose this. So I have a multiplication chart. I'm sure you've seen these before. I want to show you a trick and tip for finding equivalent fractions. I'm going to take the whole row of 2 and highlight it. All right. And then I'm going to take the whole row of 7 and highlight it. All right. And without realizing it, I've actually made 10 equivalent fractions. And I'm going to show you how we can collect them. So let's say row 2 is our numerator and row 7 is our denominator. So let's put an N there for numerator and D here for denominator. And I'm going to pull them down. Let's see, so it's 2 and 7. We have 4 and 14. 6 and 21. Oops, that's 7. Should be a 1. 8 and 28. And 10 and 35. Now I can keep going, but I'm going to stop here. These are all equivalent. And let's figure out why. how do you go from 2 to 4? What do you do? What do you multiply by? 2 times blank is 4. 7 times blank is 14. Has the same number in common. What is it? It's times 2. So 2/7 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 7 times 2 is 14. Let me switch this color up so I can help us visualize what's happening. Let's move on to the next one. We're starting with, this is our anchor, 2/7. How do you go from 2 all the way to 6? What do we multiply? 2 times blank is 6. It's going to be by 3. Let's test it out with the denominator. 7 times 3 is 21. 2, 3. I see a pattern. 2 times 4 is 8. 7 times 4 is 28. Let's do another one. Times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 7 times 5 is 35. Excellent. So here I've got a collection of equivalent fractions, and here we're seeing y. And down here, these are our multipliers. Now, this is really cool because, I think I'm out of room on this page. 3r. I'm going to move to the next page. And again, I'm going to do 3L and 3R because I'm on the same lesson. The cool thing about those multiplication charts are we can do it side by side. We can also do it vertically. So I have another chart. If you don't have a chart in your notebook, that's okay. Maybe you can jot down what's happening with these multiplication charts. So we had gone with 2 and 7. Let's go a little bit easier, and let's go vertically this time. Let's go with 3 and 5. So for this example, we'll have our 3 being our numerator, and column 5 is our denominator, and we can collect 3 over 5, 6 over 10, 9 over 15, and 12 over 20. Again, we can keep going, but let's see if we can identify those multipliers. 3 times blank is 6, times 2. 3 times blank is 9, times 3. 3 times 4 is 12. We can double check with our denominator. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. So this multiplication chart can work either side to side, horizontal, or vertically up and down. So if you have one of these, it's going to be really helpful with making equivalent fractions. Alrighty. Well, I have run out of space, so what I'm going to do is put our next steps over here. Next steps, 12 questions in Prodigy. Let's see, most of you are in Prodigy right now. I think I have a couple of you that are still struggling to connect to the class. I'm going to see if I can reach out this morning and get with you guys, and I will see you back in Zoom at, let's see, what time are we meeting? And we'll see you in Zoom at 11 a.m. for another activity. All right. Well, mathematicians, I'll see you in the digital space.